Hello and welcome to Winchester News Online's review of the year. I'm Megan Fisher. Coming up, how the floods devastated Hampshire. Police find an AK-47 in drugs raid. Residents battle to keep trucks at bay. The Spitfires fly high in Conference South. And more stripes are breeding at Marwell Zoo. This winter, Hampshire experienced some of the worst flooding since records began. In one village, water flowed down the main street for 6 weeks. Our environment correspondent Laura Allen watched the crisis unfold.
It was the village of Hambledon that saw some of the worst of the flooding this year. The saturated river Meon caused excess water to fall down to the valley and into the residents' homes, filling basements with excess sewage water.
We'll get through it, British stoicism, but it's a struggle.
A pipe was placed through the main street to try and tackle the level of surface water, but the coming weeks saw cuts being made to the accredited community safety officers who were helping with the clean-up. Next, the flooding came closer to home and hit the city of Winchester. Concern came when the River Itchen's water level was raised by the relentless rainfall. But help came from an unlikely source in firemen, army troops and council volunteers. Despite the community spirit, it began to take its toll on local residents and business owners.
We feel we're being sacrificed to save public buildings in the River Park area.
I'm a bit bored of it. That's my feelings. I'm bored and tired of wanting to stop raining.
Oh yeah, I mean we closed yesterday because when I came in it was just like the water was getting out of hand. Obviously with it affecting the toilet area, so the guests can't use the toilets, the team can't use the toilets, so it's not really safe to work in.
It's very frustrating, just wish it would stop raining, and all the forecasts are that it's going to get worse before it gets better, so yeah, just keeping our fingers crossed that we can manage.
The floods even managed to leak into the Football League, as Winchester City postponed 37 games by the 5th of February this year, with the water level in the road reaching 2 feet at its peak. The saturated River Meon filling basements with excess sewage water.
Body cameras, drug raids and hero dogs. Hampshire's police force has been in the headlines. Our crime correspondents take us through some of the major stories on their beat.
David Williamson of Howard's Mead, Pennington, will spend 11 years behind bars after an Operation Fortress investigation found him guilty of possession of a firearm and supplying drugs.
We will often find weapons when we're doing drugs searches, but it's incredibly unusual to find a weapon such as an AK-47.
In this home off Crooksby Road near Farnham, Surrey residents Christine and Lucy Lee were found dead, along with the bodies of 4 puppies. Police arrested an 82-year-old dog breeder who has now been identified as John Lowe of Tilford in Farnham. Mr. Lowe has now been charged with 2 counts of murder and possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life.
Dogs like Roxy and her colleague Kane will be given the same honours as their 2-legged partners and receive a certificate of service when they retire.
The changes highlight the importance that's placed on police dogs and their support within the extended police family. As such, we're delighted they now receive the recognition they deserve.
In surveys carried out by Hampshire Police, over 90% of the public backed the use of these body-worn videos. However, some civil liberty groups have raised concerns over officers' powers to switch the cameras on and off.
One of the things that make me feel very uncomfortable is that if this is about accountability, then the police shouldn't be the ones that have immediate access to the footage.
I regard the present scheme as profoundly unsatisfactory. The police should be recording every single interaction with the public.
National lead in developing policy for the use of this technology is Hampshire's Chief Constable.
I understand that people would be worried about any Big Brother aspects of society, and that's why we've taken such measures in creating the guidance. One of the principles is that the body-worn video, although an independent witness, will never fully replace conventional evidence. So policing will always be about a police officer dealing with the public.
The winter storms have made the task of restoring Southsea Pier even more challenging. Our business and finance correspondent John Wilson reports on that project and other community efforts to revive some of the county's old landmarks.
Southsea Pier, closed since 2012 and battered by the recent bad weather, finds itself at the centre of another storm.
I've been talking to two potential owners of the pier, both of whom want to invest in it, both of whom want to make it a pier again with public access and things happening on it, both of whom think they can make this work as a business.
I visualise thousands of local people here for a fantastic party, a real celebration, a community celebration.
Sun or snow, customers came to a pub where people knew their name. But cheers hasn't been said at the Fox and Hounds since its closure in 2012.
To have had the pub taken away, it meant that anywhere, if you wanted to go out now, you've got to drive, which was ridiculous in this day and age. So we decided we would like to save our pub.
It's one thing for people to moan that their pub is closed, but it's an entirely different matter when people put their hands in their pockets and contribute money.
Winchester City are top of the league, and if their good form continues, they'll move up a division. The team is clearly good enough to play in the higher league, but the ground isn't.
Last week we have appointed a full-time commercial manager. Her name is Jane Carley, and she'll be responsible for fundraising, organising events.
George Osborne delivered the budget this spring. There was a mixed reaction in Canary Wharf to a speech that set the clock ticking on next year's election.
Here in the heart of the city's financial system, there's been a very much mixed reaction to George Osborne's fifth budget.
I think he's been helped by general economic recovery. I don't think he's necessarily been instrumental in making those changes.
I think he's done a fantastic job, but he'll never get any praise for it, will he?
I think in terms of social conscience, he's not been too wonderful. In terms of the general state of the country's finances, I think he's come out rather better than most people expected. Certainly he's done better than I expected.
I really have no interest in him whatsoever. It just seems that with each year that goes past, you're given something and equal or more is taken away from you.
People don't feel that they have money, so they're not willing to spend. So I don't think he has really done his job.
I think he's done a reasonably good job based on kind of limiting factors around the economy and trying to pay off all of the government debt.
I don't think taxes are necessarily going down, so in that sense I don't think it's as successful as it could have been. So I'm not too optimistic about it.
As ever, the budget is a highly political event where votes count just as much as cash. Whatever the aftermath of today, the clock is now ticking towards the 2015 general election. Ravina Gatura, Winchester News Online, Canary Wharf.
This year, Winol breathed new life into coverage of health stories. Health correspondent Zina Al-Abedi had her finger on the pulse of the county.
We put one hand there, another hand over the top.
Last year, South Central Ambulance Service launched the UK's first defibrillator finding app, showing where your nearest heart-starting equipment is located.
If somebody has a cardiac arrest out in the community, the chance of survival is about 2%. And that's woefully low. In this country, it's going to be absolutely invaluable, and I have no question that it will save lives.
Paramedics since have expressed in reports that awareness has been raised, but there is still much more to be done. In February, there was another UK first as data was released, revealing the most obese places in Britain. Gosport weighed in as 6th fattest on the list.
I think we're getting the message out to people that actually this can be life-threatening and it can affect your future. So.
More recently, Southampton has been recognised as the only centre of excellence in the world for allergies and asthma this year. The research will help sufferers not only in Hampshire but worldwide.
This is a proud moment for Southampton, and this is really contribution from all my colleagues, and I'm really grateful to them and to our patients.
Winol's education coverage has been dominated by strikes. Education correspondent Lucy Wilson was never far from the picket line.
What do we want? What do we want it?
University staff all over the UK have been striking on and off since the beginning of the year after news that they will receive a 1% pay rise. It might sound like good news, however, in comparison to the University Vice-Chancellor's pay, which averaged at 5%, lecturers and staff felt the pay was unfair. This led to months of random 2-hour strikes, which meant students missed out on lectures. The first of the strikes was on Thursday the 23rd of January, followed by another strike 5 days later. While staff refused to give in, many were concerned about where the anger was being directed. The Deputy Vice-Chancellor of the University of Winchester, Elizabeth Stewart, told us it was unfair as it only affects students. As UCU members at the University of Winchester received unsatisfactory responses to their strike action, they proposed a vote of no confidence in the Vice-Chancellor, Joy Carter, on the 5th of February. On top of this, talks of the possibility of a marking boycott began. The last strike was on Monday, the 10th of February.
We've got to get this pay situation sorted out so that ones at the top don't keep getting so much more than everybody else. We're going to keep fighting.
I think the decision to withhold marks from students would be an extremely serious one. I think that we'd have to consider how we responded very carefully.
Although meeting next week to discuss it, the UCU branch are working on the basis that the marking boycott will go ahead as planned from April 28th. Lucy Wilson, Winchester News Online.
Lanes, trucks and automobiles. Hampshire has experienced quite a few transport changes over the year. As transport correspondent, I had the details.
Southampton cyclists hit out against claims the new Saltmarsh Junction is safer than the original layout. The Eastern Cycle route has been put into place as 7 cyclists have been hit in the past 3 years.
I think it is much safer for cyclists now because the original arrangement had the cyclists running across lanes of traffic and effectively the accident rate there was significant, and we think it was people were not using the bridge for cycling because of the arrangement at the end of it.
Firefighters at Romsey have been issued with a new truck to help them respond to emergencies quicker. The new equipment is used to tackle toxic spills and dangerous chemicals. Alresford residents petitioned against HGV traffic going through the town last month. The trucked-off petition was 2,000 signatures strong, and campaigners are waiting on Hampshire County Council's decision.
It is blighting people's lives. It's a real growing problem for the whole of the town, not just people who live down here by the medieval bridge.
County councillors have given 20-mile-per-hour zones the green light in Winol, Highcliffe and Stanmore. The new speed limits are expected to be in place by spring of this year.
Mile an hour I quite agree with, but who's going to stick to it? Because they don't stick with 30 mile an hour.
With the Chancellor's large investment into roads in the 2014 budget, motorists are hoping for more change. Megan Fisher, Winchester News Online.
Now in sport, over to our reporter Ravina Katura at the Silver Lake Stadium, home to title challengers Eastleigh FC.
With the season coming to a dramatic close, Eastleigh are in contention to win the Conference South. We take a look back at how the Spitfires have fared in the new year.
With the tough schedule to look forward to and Bromley sitting comfortable at the top of the table, Eastleigh knew that winning the Conference South would be a tough ask. Craig McAllister gave the home side the perfect start, scoring early on. December's Player of the Month Ben Strevens then doubled the Spitfires' lead before Gosport substitute Dan Woodward gave the visitors a late consolation. Eastleigh held on to win their 7th game in a row, giving them a perfect start to 2014. Reece Tyson Lazaris opened the scoring for Maidenhead in a match which tested Eastleigh's character. Reece Connolly got the Spitfires back on level terms, but Matt Ruby put the away side back ahead before half-time. Stuart Fleetwood equalised soon after the break, and Ben Strevens' dramatic late-minute winner saw Eastleigh snatch a valuable 3 points. Two goal of the season contenders saw the Spitfires go deservedly ahead when they faced playoff hopefuls Weston-super-Mare. Reason's goal continued an impressive season for the striker. Chaz Hemmings gave Weston a route back into the game with 20 minutes left. But veteran striker Craig McAllister wrapped up all 3 points for the Spitfires, closing the gap at the top of the table. Ben Wright's effort was an early sign of what would be a tough game for the Spitfires at home to Chelmsford City. Reece Connolly eventually headed the home side into the lead on the stroke of half-time, meeting Stuart Fleetwood's corner. Ben Streven's late header summed up a frustrating night for Eastleigh, but the win took them 2 points away from table toppers Bromley. Craig McAllister opened the scoring for the Spitfires when he met Michael Green's cross, scoring his 12th goal of the season. Soon after the opening goal, the visitors went down to 10 men when defender Jordan Brown was shown a straight red for his tackle on Dan Spence. Anthony Church equalised for Stortford before Salisbury loanee Ben Wright regained a deserved Eastleigh lead. The away side were then awarded a controversial penalty, and captain Rhys Prestridge gave the 10 men an unlikely equaliser. Ben Wright once again restored the home side's lead, and he completed his hat-trick soon after. Eastleigh manager Richard Hill spoke to Winol after the game.
Being top of the league now means nothing if we're not top of the league at the end of the season. Our fans were great today, our fans have been great all season. From the first game of the season. At times we were very, very critical. I don't mind saying that, I don't mind saying it publicly. But they're critical because they want us to do well, not because they just want to come here and watch us play every week.
Eastleigh are now top of the table, where they sit 2 points ahead of Bromley, with 2 games in hand over the Londoners.
But Eastleigh haven't dominated all of this year's excitement. Southampton's very own Billy Morgan competed at the Sochi Winter Olympics, and we went to see where it all began. Southampton's Billy Morgan was the first snowboarder in the world to land a triple backside rodeo. And it started here 10 years ago at the Alpine Snow Sports Centre, Southampton.
Billy's profile has obviously gone through the roof in the last year or so, ever since he did the triple rodeo that went viral on YouTube, and people like the fact that they're on the same turf that he used to train on, and so people get a bit starstruck by it. So yeah, it's really good that he's associated with the slope.
Last year these ski slopes were virtually empty, but since the success of Jenny Jones and Southampton's Billy Morgan in this year's Winter Olympics, people are eager to get on these slopes and give it a go.
This year it's absolutely skyrocketed. We've had bookings through the roof, we've had to put more sessions on, double up on sessions, get more instructors in, it's been crazy.
Billy narrowly missed out on a medal in Sochi, but his chances at the US Open look promising. Ravina Gatora, Winchester News Online, Southampton. That's all from sports, back to the studio.
Thanks Ravina, and now to wildlife. Baby zebra Luna was born at Marwell Zoo. Sparsholt College bred a rare Temrex species, and Steve the sturgeon swam a mile from his Romsey home during the floods. These were just some of the stories covered by our environment correspondents.
Luna, a Hartman's Mountain zebra, joined the Marble family last October as the firstborn at the zoo for 16 years. There are currently around 8,300 Hartman's Mountain zebras in the wild, and with numbers in decline, the birth of the foal was a very special event. Sparsholt College is the first to successfully breed the Highland Streak Tenrec here in the UK. Against the odds, 3 baby Tenrecs came into this world towards the end of last year, bumping Sparsholt's collection up to a total of 9 animals and encouraging them to look into developing a breeding programme. An adventurous sturgeon by the name of Steve set out on a journey aided by this year's flooding. Sturgeons normally migrate in the wild, and believed to be acting on instinct, the fish travelled all the way to a puddle behind a car wash a mile away from his home. He was rescued and returned to his pond at Romsey World of Water after 2 weeks on the loose.
Now we take a look at the amazing work our features team have produced. Literature, music or fashion, we cover your passion. Lucy Britt takes us through our excellent videos, reviews and interviews.
Our features team have seriously stepped up their game, creating individual columns to showcase innovative and edgy projects. We have everything from music and beauty to politics and reviews, blogs, videos and debates, all found on the front page of Winol. Our fashion team blagged their way into catwalk shows at London Fashion Week. And puckered up with our favourite lipsticks for Valentine's Day. If music is more your thing, we got up close and personal with upcoming artist Uriel. And Winchester's own Frank Turner, who returned to his hometown to play out a sold-out show. Our politics column kept us up to date with party opinion on campus, also giving us a glimpse at the funny side of politics.
That's all from Winchester News Online this year, but for more award-winning news, sports and features, log on to winol.co.uk. Goodbye.